On today's episode of Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM, it is a picks show. Ari's getting closer to me, but he's not there yet. Can Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt go into Tuscaloosa and make it 2 in a row against Alabama? Or is Alabama back? Arch Manning and Texas head to the swamp. Does Florida have anything left? And of course, in Tallahassee, Miami goes to Florida State. Can the Seminoles bounce back from their first loss of the season, or will the Hurricanes keep on rolling, baby? You know what time it is. Let's pick some games. We've teamed up with BetMGM this season. We will be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. When you join BetMGM, you'll get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB, as in college football, CFB, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. It is a Monday. It is a pick show. Ari, we survived one of the busiest weeks in college football history. Not everybody did, at least employed. Sam Pittman fired at Arkansas on Sunday after that Notre Dame loss. And if you want to hear more about the Arkansas job, who might get the Arkansas job, Arkansas under Bobby Petrino as the interim. Ari and I did a video on that on Sunday, so check the On3 Sports YouTube page and check it out. It's a good job. It is. I'm talking myself into Arkansas being a very, very good job for somebody who wants to get rich. Now, whether you're going to be successful there is another story, but I do think if they pick the right person, they can be successful there. So we'll talk about that more as the weeks go on, as we delve into the candidate list, as Petrino tries to get the job as the interim. But right now, Ari, we got to pick some games this week. And this week versus last week is a prime example of why college football needs centralized scheduling, commissioner, you name it. Because if they had a commissioner, they would have looked at this year's schedule, and they would have seen the week before last, and they would have seen this past weekend, and they would have seen this weekend and be like, okay, we're going to move some of these over here and some of these over here so they don't have all of the good games in one week. It's crazy.
Crazy. This past weekend was one of the most jam-packed weekends, I feel like, for never feeling like you're watching everything in every window. Like there was so much happening in every window that it was almost overwhelming. And
wait, Virginia Tech beating NC State. You talk about flying under the radar.
Yeah,
there's no way you could have seen that.
Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't matter how much you like the sport. There's just only so much a human being can consume in one afternoon. It doesn't matter how many devices you have or, how dedicated you are to the cause. You just can't do it. We were watching the end of the Indiana-Iowa game as two of the biggest games of the week were starting. It was just, but it was also amazing. I'm not complaining. And the one thing that we always know, Andy, is that when we do these pick shows and we look ahead at the schedule for the following or upcoming Saturday, oh man, this is going to be a drag. it's not going to be a drag. Like, it's going to be awesome. Something's going to happen. It's never a dull Saturday. Although I think I probably would have liked to see like Oregon and Penn State isolated and Alabama, Georgia
or
isolated.
Hell, Ohio State, Washington. Separate Ohio State, Washington out, because what is the biggest Big Ten game this week? Is it Michigan State, Nebraska? Is it Wisconsin, Michigan? Like none of, and you knew going into the season that those weren't going to be as big as the other ones we just talked about. So again, like
I'm so bad at math, I really don't know how complicated it would be to move some of them around. Like
it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, like if you like flipped Vanderbilt and Alabama and Georgia one weekend, like does that just mess up the entire grid?
Probably.
Like, I don't know how complicated that is, but also it's okay to have weekends like this. And this is kind of a hot take for me, maybe not, but in weekends where you don't have top 5 matchups or high quality top 25 matchups all over the place, it allows us the opportunity to watch games that we otherwise would not be watching if other things were happening. Like for me, like I'm like looking forward to watching Michigan State and Nebraska. If that game were on Saturday, I wouldn't watch the second of it. I'm looking forward to, seeing how good Minnesota is and if they can give Ohio State a challenge. I'm super fired up for Texas A&M and Mississippi State because Mississippi State almost just beat Tennessee and now they're going to, to play an A&M team that people are fired up about. I'm excited about these games.
Texas at Florida is interesting. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Texas Tech going to Houston has become an interesting game because I don't think we thought Houston would be sitting where they are right now. Mm-hmm. So there's action, baby. Michigan State, Nebraska, as you mentioned, is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, always going to be action. Always am thankful for a college football fall Saturday. And you know what? If the byproduct of this is that we get to isolate Vanderbilt and Alabama and watch what could be a pretty crazy spectacle, and then we get a vintage Miami Florida State game at the end of the day, and then also from a morbid curiosity standpoint, I think the most interesting game of the day, literally just interesting. I don't know if it means the most. You know what game I'm going to pick?
Clemson, North Carolina.
No, but that's also a spectacle.
Which one?
Florida,
Texas.
Florida.
Oh yeah,
be really interesting to watch. I think we're gonna really enjoy that one, and Texas is probably gonna win, and there's not gonna be any earth-shattering season narratives that are gonna alter, but maybe storylines will. I think that game for Arch.
Depending on how Texas Florida goes, something else may happen Sunday, which would be considered fairly big news. So we'll see how that goes. All right, records. We both came back in a big way last week. We gave you a bonus pick last week. So we picked 9 games. We each gave you the over in Arkansas Notre Dame, which hit barely, but it still hit. So I was 6-4. Ari was 6-4. I am 25-23-1 against the spread so far this season. Ari is 22-26-1. So Ari needs to come back hard this week. So are we ready, Ari?
Yeah.
Are we ready?
I mean, you were blowing me out 2 weeks ago, and now I'm breathing down your neck. So that was more so because of the big swing 2 weeks ago. We had the same record, no ground gained, but hey, if we could both finish over 500 this year, I think that would be a really good boon for the show. So, and I think I'm going to get there. So,
it's so funny because I kind of memory hold my picks last week, and I thought I was dying on Saturday. Did not realize I was actually doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably watching the Auburn game, feeling like you were getting cooked, and then they won by the hook. So, that really was just me getting rewarded for getting screwed the week before by Auburn by taking the safety at the end of the Oklahoma game. That's what that was. My favorite Saturday pastime is when Andy and I are on the same side of a football game, and we both really liked it during the week. and it's in danger. And Andy is texting the group chat like, my pick is going to go up, and like I have $500 on that game. Like, like, I don't care. But
my
no,
pride is worth more than your money, Ari.
Do you
That's what it is.
Though, it is true. Like pride is important, but like it's 2 days and I still haven't stopped thinking about the intentional Indiana safety. Like I was like trying to go back through like
there was one in the NFL yesterday. And I was just laughing at you again.
Which one was that?
I can't remember.
Oh, I had a good day in the NFL yesterday, but I was thinking back at like some of the things that have happened while we were live on the show, like even that Mac bad beat. Like I think that Indiana game was the worst bad beat of my entire gambling career.
Really? That bad?
Because of where they were on the field. I don't think have you ever seen a person run back 45 yards for a safety like that?
Yes.
I've never seen that before. That was so far away. But anyway, we don't have to dwell on that. Let's see if we can think about some good times and pick some winners this week.
We can definitely do that. Let's start with the big noon game. Go to the Big Ten. Wisconsin going to Michigan. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We've talked about Wisconsin probably more than we thought we would this season because it is just so bad. And doesn't seem like there's any way for it to get any better. And we also knew going into the season that they were playing the toughest of the Big Ten schedules. And, it's one thing, like after the Michigan-Oklahoma game, Ari, I think we weren't sure exactly what Michigan was. We weren't sure exactly what Oklahoma was. And so if this game had happened, then we'd be like, okay, I think Wisconsin's got a puncher's chance. Is Michigan going to run for 500 yards in this game and just mush them?
Probably. I don't know if you get this feeling, Andy. Like whenever we talk about Wisconsin, like I just feel like the mood goes down. Like it's just
frustrating. I feel so bad for those people
because it's just even when teams are having rough seasons, there are certain things that you can like latch onto and be like, yeah, well, here's a reason to believe, or here's a reason that things can go well. Like when you watch Wisconsin this year, it just feels hopeless and pointless. Like, and it's worse than I ever thought it could have been. So like right now, as we're talking about this game, like if you are thinking about taking Wisconsin, I don't think that you are, but if you are, can you like give me a reason why you would? Because I just don't know what this is probably a pretty sharp line. Wouldn't surprise me if it was a 17-point game, at the end of it. But could you imagine how miserable of a feeling it would be to bet on Wisconsin and have to watch that for 4 quarters, hoping that it hits? Like it just would be. It's just so bad. Like, give me a positive. Do you have a positive about Wisconsin this year?
The food in Madison is exquisite.
What
beer in Madison is exquisite. There's nothing. There's nothing.
When we were in Madison last year was so good. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we went to State Street Brats. It was amazing.
Oh my God, that was good. Yeah, that's a positive.
But the thing is, I just don't know. I don't know what you do here because a couple weeks ago, right before they played Maryland, I texted Ari on the Wednesday of that week, and I said, Ari, what is Wisconsin's record if they lose to Maryland? And he immediately texts back. He's like, oh, 2-10's in play. 2-10 is very much in play because the schedule is just maniacal. And, I don't know. The spread on this game is 16.5. It's Michigan by 16.5. Michigan's style might make it where Wisconsin can get in through the back door. But I will say, okay, before we go too far into this and we heap too much dirt on Wisconsin, last year they did give Oregon absolute hell, even though they were having a bad season. So is it possible, and they were tough on Penn State for most of that game too, is it possible that they have one of those games in them that they can give a pretty good team a really, really tough game?
I don't think Michigan is that good yet. I think they're going to be really good next year when they add to the portal.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, Michigan's not good yet, but they're a team that can, against a bad Big Ten team,
Roll
or
it
even
over them.
like,
Yeah.
I don't think Nebraska's a bad Big Ten team, and they kept hitting explosive runs on them. So, like, what are they going to do to the bad teams?
Yeah, the explosive run ability that Michigan has, it's like conventional wisdom would be like, okay, well, Michigan might have 14 play drives that take up 8 minutes off the clock, and 16 points is a lot of points. If there's a weird turnover or Wisconsin gets an early score or something, you might be able to talk yourself into it. But I don't Michigan, I think, is an average to a slightly above average football team this year, and I think that makes it they're miles better than Wisconsin. And the game's in Ann Arbor, right? So, I don't know. I mean, I'm laying the points. I might be wrong on this because, again, it's a lot of points. And, this is a game I would never play in real life because gambling's supposed to be fun. And this would just be miserable.
Well, this week is an entire week of games you'd never play in real life.
Yeah. Well, that's not true.
Not all of them, but quite a few of them are games you would not play. The other interesting part about this is Sharon Moore is back for Michigan.
Yeah.
Because remember, he was suspended for the Central Michigan and Nebraska games. It feels like it's been a long time because they had that off week, but he's back. I would assume that makes Michigan's operation cleaner and smoother, although it was pretty clean and smooth under Biff Poggi. I don't really think they missed a beat.
Yeah. Yeah. So just laying? Just hope for the best?
Yeah. I'm taking Michigan to cover the 16.5.
Yeah, I'm looking at the power rating metrics, looking at T-Shoe index and some other things, and the line is pretty sharp. So I don't know if there's any edge or extra few points to get on the direction one way or the other. So I'll just lay the points and, expect Michigan to break off 80-yard runs until they win by 17.
Yeah, that's probably how it is. Michigan's up by 24 late in the game. Wisconsin scores a garbage time touchdown. And of course the Wisconsin fans. I'm curious because it's funny how we crowdsource Wisconsin fans comments a lot, and we've gotten some great emails from the Wisconsin fans. They're really thoughtful, and I wonder how they feel about this. Like, do they want? Obviously, you want your team to win, but do they want them to lose close, or do they want this, if they're going to lose, to be an unmitigated disaster so that maybe it forces something different to happen?
It would have to be a long, continuous, season-long, unmitigated disaster, I think, for them to pony up the money, right, Andy? Or
right, it's a massive amount of money. But, Ari, that's on the table. The massive season-long unmitigated disaster is on the table.
Do you know what it's like? This happened to me last year. And, you and I are salaried employees, so we don't have a very complicated, CPA tax situation. You just put your
right
W-2 in and whatever. My wife has the most complicated tax situation in the history of mankind. And I'm not going to go into the details of why, but it's a nightmare. And
she's not doing anything illegal, we promise.
Well, she's a bookie, actually. That little gig 'em thing, she was just happy because all you people that laid the points on A&M had to pay her this week. But no, all kidding aside, it feels like when you owe the IRS money, you don't want to pay, but you might have to. And that's kind of what it seems like here. If the circumstances get bad enough, it might be expensive and it might be hard to swallow, but you might not have a choice.
Yeah, your hand may be shaking, but you're still writing that check to the government. And it's probably, if they're sitting there staring down the barrel at 3-9 or 2-10, that is what they might have to be doing. Producer River, please put that schedule up one more time so people can see the just depravity of the schedule. Michigan this week, Iowa next week, Ohio State the following week, at Oregon, Washington, at Indiana, Illinois, at Minnesota. Wisconsin will be double-digit underdogs in most of these games. Maybe not Iowa, but most of these games.
Yeah.
And only because the Iowa-Wisconsin total is probably going to be 13 and a half.
11. Yeah. But so we're both taking the point, or both laying the points here. We're going to go with Michigan. I don't feel good about it. I think maybe the game will turn out to be like a Big Ten muck, but I have no ability to have to like cling hope to Wisconsin showing up and trying to play a game that's competitive. And before you go to the next game, Andy, can I just say something because I'm embarrassed?
By all means.
Today's Andy's birthday, and today is River's birthday. And we didn't start the show talking about it. And like today's my daughter's
I lead the show, and because I'm the one that welcomes everybody in, and I'm not going to say happy birthday to myself, though I am an asshole for not saying happy birthday to River. So happy birthday, River. We love you.
Pop up here for a minute.
What's up, fellas?
Happy birthday to you. I was joking with them
Andy
last
too.
night. I was joking with them last night, but the three most important people in my life's birthday today: River, Andy, and my daughter. So, congratulations for making it around the sun one more time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is bad podcasting, but I love you guys. I'm so happy to be doing the show with you. And I hope you get a good meal tonight and enjoy it.
Yep. Thank you, Ari. Love you too,
I'm at the Orlando Touchdown Club tonight, so I always get a good meal when I go there. So
here you go. Good stuff.
So actually, great place to get your birthday presents. Academy Sports and Outdoors. I mean, there's plenty of different coolers you could get me. There's some grill stuff you could get me. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets SEC fans ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store, shop online at academy.com to find grills, jerseys, and more. Fun can't lose, and neither can you with tailgate gear from Academy. Academy Sports and Outdoors is the official sporting goods and outdoor retailer of the SEC. But even if you're not a fan of an SEC school, you've got an Academy nearby. You can go to academy.com, load up. And hey, if you want to get a Yeti cooler for River, we know where to find him. All right, Ari, let us stay in the noon window. And let's talk about planning, advanced planning. North Carolina was very excited about this upcoming football season. They'd hired Bill Belichick, lots of Super Bowls. We've talked about all that. One of the things that came with hiring Bill Belichick is North Carolina expected to have some of the best TV, time slots in the country. And of course, with Clemson coming to town and Clemson getting all this massive preseason hype, they figured this is definitely going to be a primetime game. So let's hire Ludacris to do a concert before the game, assuming that Ludacris concert would be about 6:30 at night before an 8 p.m. game. That is not how it's going to go. This is a noon game. North Carolina is a 13.5-point underdog to a Clemson team that is not very good, and Ludacris is going on at like 10 a.m. Not your fantasy. If you asked what's your fantasy, that's not it. But 864 versus 919. I can keep going with this.
Keep going. I want to know
how far. Throw them those.
How fired up do you think North Carolina fans are for Ludacris at 8:30, 9 a.m.?
They're going to be like, move, bitch, get out the way, so they could get up and see Ludacris. No, they're not. They're not.
Luda. He used to be.
I feel so bad for Ludacris because he's going to walk out there and be like, I could have been doing Fast and Furious 13 right now.
Yeah. Ludacris made a pretty good life for himself. I think he's okay.
Think about this: when you're Atlanta radio DJ Chris Bridges in the late 90s, and you're like, I'm pretty lyrical. I got a good sense of humor. Maybe I'll try this rapping thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll get in a movie someday. This man has private jets everywhere. Like, this is probably going to be the worst thing that happens to Ludacris in about a 5-year period, having to perform at 10 a.m. before a game where North Carolina is going to get bombed by a bad Clemson team.
I do think that the check probably clears either way, so good for him. I would do whatever anybody asked me to if they paid me. We could do a live show.
We do. Have you watched the show?
Yeah, let's just try to book a live airing of Andy and Ari on 3 at like 4:30 a.m. outside a Waffle House in the middle of SEC country. I'll do it. Like, come on, let's go.
I think we could get a crowd. What? Okay, we'll put this to the audience. So email us, hit us up on social media. Which SEC town would we draw the biggest crowd in at 4:30 in the morning in front of a Waffle House? Athens, Gainesville, Tuscaloosa, Oxford?
I don't think you missed there.
I think we may have to do this. We may have to do like a bet where if we lose, we've got to do a 4:30 a.m. show at a Waffle House. But ludicrous in Chapel Hill for this game. Clemson, first game since the loss to Syracuse. North Carolina, first game since the loss to UCF. Did you see? We talked about games that you couldn't really get a good look at because of what else was going on. How much of UCF Kansas State did you see?
0. I mean, I watched
watching a little bit of it.
It seemed like Avery Johnson unlocked some
plays.
Yeah. I think that from what I understand, and this is what I do during the week, Andy, I go and review games I missed just so when we talk about them, I don't feel stupid. But my understanding of it from the outsider view is that Avery Johnson ran really well and it opened up their offense. And that Kansas State fans were a little upset about the notion that like this could have been happening all year long, and it just hasn't been. Because the last time I watched a whole Kansas State football game was the Friday night game against Arizona a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, man, that was painful to watch. Painful.
Yeah. So it wasn't that painful. Cause I did get to watch a little bit of this, but this is a long way of saying like UCF's not that great and they destroyed North Carolina.
Yeah.
Clemson is bad for Clemson, but they still have really good players. And oh, by the way, Dabo really needs a win real bad. This could get hideous. Absolutely hideous.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know which way you're leaning here, but
you don't? I haven't telegraphed it. Oh, by the way,
Andy,
I think I said this, but maybe I didn't for the podcast listeners. Clemson is a 13.5 point favorite on the road in Chapel Hill here.
That was sarcasm. I am going to go the other direction, I think.
You think this is the week they turn it around?
I don't know about turning it around.
You think this is the week they lose by less than 2 touchdowns?
Yeah, I guess that is turning it around. That's the Bell
It would be.
so far. Dude, how many teams don't come up fired up when they've got Ludacris performing before the game? Like, I don't understand like what you're not seeing about this. Like,
the players don't get to go see Ludacris.
I know, but the buzz is in the air, man. Like, I am so down on Clemson right now. Like, it feels like something is. It almost looks like they don't care when they're playing. And I know that's probably not true because I have a lot of respect for Dabo Swinney. And I'm sure his players love him and they love each other and they're not going to just lay down. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to take 13.5 until, Clemson shows me that they can, blow somebody out. It might look stupid. They might win 63-10 and I might look like an idiot. Happened last week. I took Arkansas plus 5.5 because the line didn't make any sense. And Notre Dame could have scored 300 points if they wanted to. Give me the 13.5. This seems like it might be a little high from a trend perspective with the way that Clemson's playing. I might have wanted to see the spread somewhere around 10 or 11, maybe even 9.5. So I'll take the 13.5 and hope for the best.
So Bill Belichick deflected questions about whether it's going to be Gio Lopez or Max Johnson starting at quarterback. I'm not sure it matters. Give me Clemson to cover. I know they've been bad. North Carolina's been worse. So,
yeah, Clemson feels like they're bad because something's not working. North Carolina is just authentically bad.
Right. North Carolina doesn't have the talent. North Carolina's in the position Wisconsin is in. Clemson has players. They just can't seem to put it all together on the field, which that's not easy to fix, but you can fix it against a bad team.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't get fixed when they play Florida State, but you can fix it now.
Give me 13.5 and make me feel disgusting about
it. Oh, we're all dirtier for having picked that game. Let us go. Actually, before we go to the Swamp, let me tell you how you can get tickets to that Clemson, North Carolina game. You can get them for as low as $80 right now on GameTime. You can also get Florida State Miami tickets in Tallahassee. They're considerably more expensive on GameTime, but any game you want to go to, last minute, doesn't matter. GameTime has what you need. Download the GameTime app, redeem the code STAPLES, and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. You go to the app, you pick your ticket. Most stadiums, they show you exactly where you're sitting. You can look at the view from your seat. Also, the price you see is the price you pay. They do not tack on $90 extra of fees like a lot of places do. If it says the ticket is $82, and I did find a really nice seat for Clemson, North Carolina for $82, that's the price you pay. So go to GameTime, download the app, redeem the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, let's go to the Swamp, where tickets still, not cheap, because this is Texas's first visit to Florida. Texas is a 7-point favorite in a game that I mean, before this season, this was the game everybody circled. This was the one everybody in Gainesville was so excited about because, even if Florida splits LSU and Miami, if they can beat Texas, it means they can be a playoff contender. That is not the issue anymore. That is out the window. Florida is 1-3. They've lost to USF. They've lost to LSU. They've lost to Miami. Texas comes in. We don't know what Arch Manning is. He looked really good against Sam Houston State. He has not looked great in his other games. And Florida's defense, not really Florida's problem. Florida's offense is the problem. So, Ari, what do you think happens when Arch Manning plays against a banged up but still fairly formidable Florida defense?
I think he has a pretty solid game. I don't know that it's going to be like electric. I don't know if he's going to be tossing it for 400 yards. I think he's going to have an efficient game where he throws for 225 yards and maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe an interception, but he's going to look like a pretty good quarterback on the road. That would be my projection for the game. Somebody once said, I think it was Jim Tressel used to say this and I stuck in my head as I was 21 years old. It's never as good as it feels, and it's never as bad as it feels. I wonder if we're just like right in the middle somewhere with Arch, and he's still somebody that's going to ascend as the year goes on. I think that Florida has a pretty good defense. They obviously lost a very important piece in their interior defensive line. That's going to hurt, but they still have really good athletes in the secondary. That's a defense that has proven it can get after you. Like, I don't think that I'm under the impression that Texas is going to go on the road with how they've looked this year and like light up the scoreboard. You know what play I really love here more than anything? The number is low, but I like the under 43.5.
I do too.
This strikes me as like a 21-17, 24-17 type game. Maybe even if you want to say that Florida's offense is going to be inept, you can make it 31-10 or something, but like it's not to me going to be.
You could make it essentially the Miami score. Where the Miami score is 26-7. Like exactly. Texas's defense is really good. So if you think Florida's going to suddenly break out offensively, this is not that defense that you're probably going to do that against. There probably are some teams later on the schedule where if they were to put it all together, I think they could have a good game against them. But this Texas defense is probably as good or better than Miami's defense. And you saw how difficult it was for Florida to move the ball on them. I'm curious. Look at your guy T-Shoes index. I just pulled up the Parker Fleming's advanced stats preview on this. You can go to cfbgraphs.com for that. And you can match up any teams and any matchup. Parker's advanced stats have Texas winning this game by 15.
Okay, I'm looking at T-Shoe. It's the spread on his is 8.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is just an extra point, but also kind of significant because it clears the primary number there.
Yeah.
But like, I think that there is one unit that we are certain of in this game. of the 4.
Texas's defense. Yes.
Texas's defense.
Yep.
And I don't think that DJ Lagway is cooked. I know that he's been the butt of a lot of jokes. I still think that his potential oozes. And like eventually I think he's going to get there, whether that's at Florida or somewhere else. I do think that like I still project him to be a first round pick eventually. Like, and I don't know if that sounds insane, but I think that he will be based on
it does right now, but I do think if he, is in a different offense, he's probably going to wind up in a different offense next year, whether that's at Florida or somewhere else. And maybe it is different for him because he certainly does have all the tools. But yeah, you still need to see it put together on the field. The problem is, and we keep coming back to this, but even if he was playing great this year, even if he was having the season that you and I had expected him to have, playing against Texas's defense still would have been really hard.
Exactly.
You saw that Ohio State offense against Washington, which I think a lot of it was them just playing conservatively. You saw it when they opened it up a little bit, how easily they moved the ball. They never moved the ball easily against Texas.
No.
Like Texas outgained them in that game, and we were burying Arch afterward. Like Texas's defense is really, really good.
Yeah, and that's the direction I'm headed in here, Andy. Like I'm going to lay the 7. I think that just Texas in general is a touchdown better than Florida. Like even if things would have gone the way we thought they would, and Texas was my national champion coming into the year, Florida was a team we thought could contend for a national or for a playoff spot, maybe even a national championship if everything broke their way. But even in that scenario, I still think Texas would have been a touchdown better than them. And I know it's on the road. I don't know how fired up the Swamp will be. I don't know if you're there. Are they apathetic yet? I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, they want to change, but they're excited because Texas has never been there before. So they're excited to see the burnt orange. They're excited to see, the Texas come in, how do their fans come into a town? Like they've never seen it before. So I think there is a little bit of a buzz just because of that. But the fact of the matter is they are sitting there going, if Texas blows Florida out, it needs to happen. Like, I think the Billy Napier thing has run its course. The question has been, okay, how do you do it? When do you do it? If Texas blows them out, that might be the time because the players will have played 5 games for the most part. So you're not worried about people just shutting it down. And I just don't know. Like you're going to A&M the next week. It doesn't get any better. The Mississippi State coming to Gainesville doesn't look like an easy win at all anymore. Ole Miss doesn't look like an easy win. Tennessee's not an easy win. Florida State's not an easy win. Obviously, there's a Georgia game. So there's no good time. So if it's ugly, if the offense is still completely stagnant, then it might be time. Because it's probably going to happen at some point. So you just got to rip the Band-Aid off at some point.
It's just like Florida could get better offensively, and you would never know it because of who they're playing. They could have gotten better the last few weeks, but even if they are really, really good, it's hard to score on Texas. So give me Texas.
My alma mater has been really good to me in the picks this year, or at least in the last couple of games, and not in a great way for people who are fans of my alma mater, but picking against Florida has helped me in this contest this year. So I'm going to do it again. Give me Texas to cover.
We're in agreement again.
We don't try to do this. I swear we don't. We'll be on the other side of some games.
Yeah, we are on the other side of the North Carolina Clemson game, and that's going to be an embassing situation.
I know, and you have no shot of winning that one, so it's great.
I have no shot, 0 shot. It's easy. It's free money. Go lay all your whole life savings on Clemson minus 13.
This is what Ari's going to say to me. How come you don't put your life savings on it? Like,
last night, I was on the phone with a buddy, and the buddy told me, Texas or the Dallas Cowboys plus 6.5 is an amazing spot.
Play.
Go take them. That's the play. And I said, all right, I'm going to go massive on this. And he goes, well, don't go massive. And I said, well, what happened? what happened to your confidence? I just said I was going to go massive and you backpedaled. You think that he ended up being right?
I was going to say he was right.
I don't know if you watched the game last night. Did you watch the game or were you too busy celebrating your birthday?
We were at Halloween Horror Nights, but I was watching it on my phone. So yeah, I did see a lot of it.
I've never seen a team get systematically dominated for an entire half of football and be winning after it, but that's what happened last night. So anyway, yeah. Next game.
Let's head to Tuscaloosa, where Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores are coming in. Alabama coming off a win at Georgia. Alabama's a 10.5-point favorite, Ari. And this is one of those games that we've been talking about since the offseason. If you watch that SEC Netflix show, they had the whole episode on Vanderbilt beating Alabama. So everybody's been able to relive it in a good way and a bad way. I don't know that what happened last year necessarily has bearing on this year, but I would imagine it certainly keeps Alabama from being surprised by anything that happens with Vanderbilt.
Yeah, no question. And, like last year when Vanderbilt beat Alabama, it shocked the world. And it was like we're going live right now. Everybody write a column. Like that was a big, big deal last year. And if it were to happen again this year, it would be a big deal. Don't get me wrong. Like Vanderbilt improving to what would be 5-0 or 6-0 and beating Alabama on the road. And, that would have been like a statement for where they stand in the SEC race, but it wouldn't be such a heavy moment the way it was last year. And that wasn't supposed to happen. Like this is a 10.5-point spread. It's Alabama's still the favorite. They're playing at home, but Vanderbilt's a really good team this year. And I think that, everybody's pretty much caught up to that. It feels more like a big SEC game than it does a payback little brother scenario. And, right. Vanderbilt's got a long way to go before they're not Alabama's little brother or everyone's little brother. But man, they've made a lot of progress in the last few years. And, I could conceivably seeing them win this game. And I don't think that it's crazy to think that.
Well, and it's interesting because Diego Pavia got interviewed over the summer and he said, yeah, I came back to win the national title. Like, that's cute. It's funny that you said that, but you play for Vanderbilt. I don't know that we're laughing so much now about that. I think Vanderbilt has looked pretty awesome. And, if we look at last year, Vandy still lost to Georgia State before they beat Alabama. Like they played Georgia State this year and just absolutely annihilate. Beat them 70-21. They beat South Carolina 31-7 in a game where Lenore Sellers got knocked out, but I don't know that it would have mattered if he hadn't, because Vandy was just absolutely dominant. And that was on the road in the SEC. So this is definitely a different Vanderbilt team. This is certainly the most talented Vanderbilt team in a long, long time. I go back to the 2 9-win teams that James Franklin had there. He had some talent on those teams. I think this one's better. I think this one's more capable of playing with the teams at the top of the SEC. Because if you go back to those years, they still had to, when they played Georgia, when they played Florida, when they were good, they couldn't quite match up. I think this Vanderbilt team is going to be able to match up with the better teams in the SEC. Even if it can't beat them all, it's not going to get blown out.
Right. And I've got a fun statistic that I looked up in the offseason about this game, and I'm not sure, or not the offseason, the last few weeks. Alabama is 0-1 under Kalen DeBoer's leadership in games in which the opposing team's quarterback talked trash to them in the offseason. I know people like gambling data. When picking games, like that's
the sample size is admittedly small, but Tommy Castellanos did talk a lot of trash and backed it up. That's true.
Yeah. And I don't know if we know this yet. We're still gathering context and information, but life depending on it right now, I would probably say that Vanderbilt is a better team than Florida State from top to bottom. No,
I don't know that I'd say that, but
maybe not.
I would. Let me put it this way: if they played each other, my line would be less than a field goal.
Yeah, I think Florida State might have better players from top to bottom, but I think that Vanderbilt has proven it's a more functional team from top to bottom. Like they play together and they believe in a way that I think Florida State's going to have to build. And we'll get to that game later on in the show. But you know how hard it is. And Mike Norvell is finding out that, going undefeated or changing your process to go from 2-10 to 10-2 is a very difficult transition. And like Vanderbilt's not making that transition this year. Vanderbilt's
trying to go from 6-6 to maybe 8-4 or 9-3.
Yeah.
Although Diego Pavia believes they're going 12-0. And look, I think if you're Diego Pavia, you have to believe that. Part of what makes Diego Pavia is he truly in his soul believes that they are going to compete for the national title this season. And that's the only way they can go to Tuscaloosa and win this game. Like, they all have to believe that.
There's also so much put into the fact, and like, I buy into this, Andy. I think you and I agree on this, but like, I picked Alabama last week because I knew Alabama was going to show up for a playoff-like environment and play like high-level football. And I think that part of the notion of the reason why Alabama lost to Vanderbilt last year was because they didn't play passionate, good team, complimentary, like fiery playoff level
didn't
football.
Show up. They thought they would just walk out and win. And they got their asses beat. And it was not a fluky game.
Part of the analysis of this year's game, though, is that Alabama will not be caught sleepwalking. And I agree with that. But the other half of the analysis of that isn't said very often, which is Vanderbilt has already done it. They believe it. They're undefeated and they're fired up too. Like, it's not just because it's like, oh, Vanderbilt, snuck in the middle of the night and stole Alabama's watch and now they have an alarm system. It's like, no, they took that from them and they can take it from them again, dude. Like, and
Vandy's not going into this game going, oh, I hope we can compete. I hope we catch a couple breaks. They're not feeling that way. Now, here's the thing. If Ty Simpson is as good on third down as he was against Georgia, Alabama's going to win this game because they were awesome. That is what Alabama was doing to Georgia on third and fourth down is just breaking their back over and over because you get the defense's hopes up. You get the whole team's hopes up. Okay, we're going to get a stop this time. And then you just stab them in the heart every single time. It was unbelievable to watch because I've not seen a quarterback do that to a Georgia defense in a long, long time. And he's so calm out there. It's really been impressive to watch his growth as a quarterback. And we said all along, we said the day of the Florida State game, Ty Simpson wasn't the issue against Florida State. Ty Simpson, played fine, but they got physically manhandled. Alabama's not getting physically manhandled now. They haven't in their last 4 games. So I think they're probably going to be in a situation where they will come out of this, they'll come out of the tunnel. They will be pumped to play Vanderbilt. They will not think they're going to win just because they're Alabama. And that's the best thing that can happen to Alabama in this game.
Yeah. And I do think that losing a game that you're embarrassed to lose or, not showing up in a game and everybody giving up on you can play into a psychological advantage. I think we saw that happen last year with Ohio State to a certain extent. So that said, give me the points, dude. I'll take 10.5 points.
It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. And we don't plan this, like I said. I'm taking Diego Pavia to cover. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he's going to get him close.
Yeah. I mean, Diego Pavia is number 1 in your college football dog rankings. So
he is the number 1 dog, though. Ty Simpson is climbing quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. People thought maybe I was specifically overreacting to Alabama's win over Georgia. I think that they are a very good football team that could conceivably win the national title still. But playing at the level of Georgia the week after they did it is still not something that I'm 100% confident that Kalen could.
Right. There is a bit of a body blow situation too. That second half against Georgia was so physical and the defenses were pounding on the offenses and on both sides of the ball. That matters. Now it may not catch up to Alabama now, but it's like they got to play Missouri too. They got to play Tennessee too. So that's the tough part. And it's not limited to Alabama. I mean, Vanderbilt's going to have the same problem as they move forward in the SEC. They just happened to have played Utah State last week. So this is going to be so much fun because whatever happens, we're going to come up with some sort of wild, like it's either going to be, oh my God, Vanderbilt did it again. Oh my God, Alabama's burning down. Or it's going to be Bama's back. Florida State loss is now totally erased. And Bama's going to be fine. They're going to win the SEC. They're going to compete for the national title. Like we are going to massively overreact to this game. And I cannot wait to do it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
But yes, give me Vanderbilt to cover. Ari, let us now move back into the Big Ten. When last we saw Nebraska, they were losing to Michigan, giving up lots of explosive runs, but not losing by a bunch. They lose by 3 in that game. We talked about Dylan Raiola quite a bit last week. I don't have a problem with I actually, can I tell you this? Can I make a confession?
Sure.
I think Dylan Raiola should lean more into the Patrick Mahomes cosplay because it makes everyone so mad. Like now, I've completely come around on that. I was listening to several people last week say, just stop doing it. Just stop it. You don't have to do that. Like, no, do it all you want because it pisses people off and it's wonderful because Dylan Raiola is not Nebraska's problem. Nebraska's problem is protecting Dylan Raiola and establishing a run game. So the question is, can they do that? Nebraska is a 10.5-point favorite at home against Michigan State. Ari, I don't know about you. Were you a little shocked by how big this line was?
Yeah. Michigan State isn't, from what I understand right now, as good as Michigan. And Nebraska at home was in that football game. And, conceivably, if a few plays went in different direction.
What kind of game was it?
Football game.
Shit. Oh, awesome. Wasn't a rugby game. Wasn't a cricket match.
Shit. Yeah. I think I've been better about redundancy, but it's like, you don't just like lose 100 pounds in 5 minutes. Like, they're all regression days. Like, you gotta, it's the journey. It's not a.
What's going to be funny is when I start doing it.
Yeah. I am redundant a lot, but back to the game. I don't know if your confidence is shaken at all in Nebraska. Like, I had my helium balloon up in the air thinking about Nebraska going.
It's like the first touchdown was scored at Memorial Stadium and you let your balloon go?
And the balloon didn't pop, but there's a leak in it right now for me. It seems like I
was not happy with the way they allowed explosive runs against Michigan. And again, they got to establish a run game to keep people out of Raiola's face, to at least let keep the defenses honest, keep them from just pinning their ears back. Because Raiola, his best throws against Michigan were all ones where he escaped pressure because he was under pressure every single time. Yeah. Every single time.
And we acknowledge too that Raiola has done a much better job than he did last year at escaping and evading pressure and extending plays. Like, I thought that was going to be something that he struggled with his entire career. And I thought that was like a really good, like, bonus check for like, hey, this is a good reason to feel good about Nebraska. That said, getting bullied in the lines of scrimmage is a harder problem to fix. And Michigan State won't be able to do it as well as Michigan does because that's what Michigan does.
I don't know that Michigan State has the capability to pop a 75-yard touchdown run on you. And I think that's the concern, because I feel like if Nebraska could limit that, even if they're struggling to get the run game established, they probably can score enough points to win this game. Now, enough points to beat them by double digits is another story entirely, which is why I'm a little shocked at this line.
Yeah. So I'm leaning like you are with taking the points, because the line I think should be more like 6.5, maybe 7. So I'm going to take what I believe to be value here. But I think Nebraska is a better team.
You know what? I'm going to take Nebraska to cover here. I'm going to have some faith that they're going to improve. And also because we're going on Matt Rule's podcast this week.
We are.
I don't know if the people know that. He has a new podcast. It's called House Rules. He's had some amazing guests. And this week, no one said yes. And so he's going to have us. But it is... I think they're due for something like this. I think it's possible. Now, at Michigan State, 3-0 going into the USC game. They were actually in the USC game. They were down a touchdown going into the fourth quarter, but then USC sort of blew it open after that. And given what we saw from USC against Illinois, where like a physical team that leans on USC's defense can get what they want, Michigan State didn't really take what they wanted against USC's defense. So I don't think they're going to be able to take what they want against Nebraska's defense, so that gives me some faith that Nebraska can actually cover 10.5.
Yeah. And I think that there's reason to have faith in Nebraska. One game doesn't define your season. How, having a bye week in the, week since that disappointing Michigan loss will certainly probably help them. But
also the Cincinnati win looking a little better because Cincinnati went and beat Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah. Reasons to look up, I guess. I'm gonna call the bluff and I want to see the cards first now. I'm not predicting it to happen before I see it.
I don't have a problem. I was looking at these spreads and I had to go a little against the grain on some of on at least one or two of these, because you can't just pick the obvious thing. The obvious thing here is Michigan State to cover, because this seems like so many points. So it's gonna happen for Nebraska eventually. I don't know what the game's gonna be, but maybe this is the one.
Yeah.
So, and who knows? Maybe we are good luck guests on Matt Rule's podcast.
Maybe. It was a good time. I'm excited for it to come out.
Yeah, it'll be out later this week, and we'll see. But yes, Nebraska, really, to make this happen, got to run the ball better, got to protect Dylan Raiola better, and that's it. Like, I just imagine
the run better.
Stop the run better, exactly. Like Emmett Johnson's averaging 5.5 yards a carry, but that's obviously against the lesser teams on the schedule. He averaged 3.4 against Michigan. They gave him the ball 19 times. Like they didn't quit trying, but they got to start getting more production out of it.
Yep.
So we will see what happens in Lincoln. Next up, Ari. Not a game I thought we'd be picking at the beginning of the season, but here we are. Texas Tech at Houston. Battle of undefeateds in the Big 12. 4-0 versus 4-0. Texas Tech is an 11.5-point favorite on the road. And this is the type of game that Texas Tech, we got to win these two. So we saw them go to Utah, win the big one, win against the team that we thought was going to be a Big 12 title contender. Houston was not that team. Houston's not one of the teams that we looked at as the one of the many teams we thought would be capable of winning, but Connor Wegman has done a good job for Willie Fritz there in year 2 for Willie. What do we think is going to happen when Texas Tech brings this roster that is loaded with great athletes to Houston?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky spot here. I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but does it feel kind of,
it does feel kind of tricky, and that's why I picked this game to pick.
Yeah, like the Big 12 will jump up and bite you when you least expect it, without question. And I think going on the road to a place that has a really good head coach that feels really good about itself is not an easy spot. I think that Texas Tech should be viewed as the favorite, or at least one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win the Big 12. But, this isn't part of our Big 12 minted coin here, man. Like this is this isn't a 3.5
point spread. No.
And you're playing against a team that I think might be a little bit undervalued. This might be dangerous, but I might step my foot in the Houston Bear trap here.
Now, I did stay up late Friday night, and I know you did too. We were watching TCU Arizona State on Friday night, but I split screen that with Houston Oregon State, which Houston had an incredible comeback to beat Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a chance that Texas Tech just jumps on them and there's no comeback. The interesting question, who are you starting in this game if you're Joey McGuire? Are you going with Baron Morton or are you going with Will Hammond?
I mean, is that a thing? Is that like a thing like in Lubbock right now? Like, are people like debating that?
I mean, we were debating it after the game, Ari, after they beat Utah.
We were debating it after the game, but us debating it on our show and whether or not they're actually debating it internally in their building are very different. Like, I don't know. Are they actually?
It doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah. I mean, Will Hammond played so well. And here's my thought process, Andy, more than anything. I have a hard time believing that Texas Tech is just going to blow through the Big 12 without any scary games. And I think I'm going to pick this to be a scary game for them. I don't think
All
they're
right.
going to lose, but I think I'm going to take the 11.5. I think if things are shaky and Baron Morton does start the game, Andy, and they're not moving the ball very well, I think you might be in a position to give the other one a shot because of how well, Texas Tech was a completely different team against Utah once the quarterback changed. A completely different team, and I think that means something. It's not just...
Yeah, I don't think this is an Ole Miss situation where I think they were moving the ball well with Austin Simmons, too. It felt like with Will Hammond, it was a different offense.
Like the other players started playing better. And I think that great quarterbacks lift, and it's not that Baron Morton isn't, but if you can lift other players with you, that is a very powerful thing that you might want to consider. So I'm actually going to listen to Joey McGuire's news conference this week just to see if there's any buzz about that. But I don't know that I believe that Tech is just going to win every Big 12 game the way they beat the Utes on the road. So give me Houston, in-state battle. I'll take the 11.5, and we'll see what happens. But I still am very high on Tech's ability to win the conference.
Give me Texas Tech taking Houston to Pound Town. I think Texas Tech's going to roll here. I think
11.5 points in a Big 12 game on the road. Love it. Love that.
gotta live dangerously, buddy. All right, let's stay in the state of Texas. What's that?
Do you know what conference they play in?
They play the Big 12. I'm aware.
Okay.
But hey, Texas Tech might be a different kind of Big 12 team. They certainly are in terms of payroll. Let's stay in the state of Texas. Let's move about 90 minutes northwest. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 14-point favorite at home. And this feels like a trap line too, Ari, because we are looking at this like Mississippi State just took Tennessee to overtime. They were awesome. Texas A&M struggle. Well, they didn't struggle to move the ball against Auburn's defense. They did struggle to score against Auburn's defense. And it seems like this should be obvious. Oh, you're going to give me 14 points. I should take Mississippi State. I'm not sure that's the play, though.
Yeah. Just in case you haven't noticed, and I'm sure that you have if you've listened to the show or read any of my work for the past week, but I am fully bought in on Texas A&M. And if there's ever a sign that A&M is back, it's when my wife comes home from a girls' night, walks into the room. I don't know why she did that, but she happened to do it right as we were talking about the Aggies, and that's an Ag. They are back. That said, 14?
It's a lot of points. It's so many points.
A&M might have one of the better offenses in college football, and they move the ball pretty effectively against who I believe is maybe one of the tougher defenses in the SEC, if not also in college football. Dude, is A&M just going to start rolling people? Because I do believe they're legitimately a top 10 team this year. I do. I think that they are a very good team.
But the thing is, Tennessee's good too. And Mississippi State had them completely on the ropes. The game went to overtime.
I know. And it's maybe we are starting to figure out that Mississippi State isn't just a doormat. And by the way, I don't know if the SEC is ready for Mississippi State to be a tough out, because that's just not fair.
Well, and the thing is, look at Mississippi State's schedule, and we talk about how hard the schedule is. It also means that Mississippi State could spoil someone's season this year.
Or be in a position where what you said, spoil them. Sorry, my phone rang in the middle of it. Lost my train of thought. My bad. Mississippi State's much better. And you're talking about a guy who picked Southern Miss to win outright in week 1. You want to talk about being wrong about a team? Jeff Lebby's done a really good job with them this year.
Yeah, he's done an incredible job. And, I think the seeds were planted last year when they were still losing, and he still had that team together, and he went out and massively upgraded the roster this offseason. This is a good team. However, I don't know how many games in a row they can do it, because I think there is a cumulative effect with stuff like this. So having to go on the road to College Station after that emotional home game, overtime game against Tennessee, give me the Aggies to cover here.
I'm going to take the points. Maybe I'm just going to be the obvious person.
You're going to take the point. You're going to take the points. I don't blame you. I really don't.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. Maybe A&M will win 38-10. I have no idea. But I do think that Mississippi State's a much better team than we've given them credit for. I have. A&M, I think, is going to win. I'm sure they'll win comfortably, but, maybe the back door will be left open and, 14 points is just a lot. I'm going to take the points.
All righty. Let's go to Tallahassee. A little tighter spread here. Miami goes to Florida State for the biggest Miami-Florida State game in a long time. Now, it's not as big as it would have been had Florida State not lost in double overtime at Virginia last Friday night. But it is still a huge game. The line now down to 4.5. Miami favored on the road against Florida State. And Ari, the question is, did Florida State get exposed by Virginia? Is Virginia just good? Are they going to be a tough team to have to play, especially if it's a Friday night on the road? What are we dealing with Florida State? Because I think we know what we have in Miami. I think we know what Miami is. So what are we dealing with Florida State?
First of all, I have to acknowledge something here. When we were doing our preview video of this on Sunday, I told you the line was 22.5.
Yeah.
That was not my fault. It was wrong, but I was looking at a website I always look at, and that's what they all had the line as. And I think it might have been a mistake and might have been last year's line, because 22.5, I was just like, I'm taking the points, and if I lose that, I lose that.
You made me guess it, and I was like 3.5.
Yeah. And then I made you feel like an idiot. So let me just apologize to you, Andy, and just say, hey, you were more on the ball there. Let me tell you this right now.
Guess the line, but
let me tell you this right now.
Close.
Andy, I have routinely picked against Miami this year, not because I don't believe in Miami, but because I thought some of the teams that they were playing and the spots they were playing them in, like the value for taking the points was good, and I've been wrong every turn. I am 100% bought into the notion that Miami might be one of the 3 best teams in the sport, and I'm done picking against them. I don't think it even matters what Florida State is. I think if Florida State is the better version of itself, if Florida State is the team that beat the crap out of Alabama at home, it's going to be a tough environment. Obviously, it's a rivalry.
So you're
game.
saying if Florida State's the team that beat the crap out of Alabama, it still might not matter. Miami might still be better than that team.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
There is a thought process of did Florida State get exposed last week? Are they not very good? What did we learn about the Virginia thing? And it's I'm going to throw that out, and I'm going to pretend like we didn't learn anything. That Florida State is still a pretty good to above average to really good team. I think it's possible Miami may be a great team this year, and I'm tired of picking against them. So I am going to lovingly lay the points here. And I'm just going to, see what happens. I when I thought the spread was 22.5, in my head, I was like, that's a lot of points. I could conceive
you were going to take them to cover that too, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm just I'm done. I've been scarred, and maybe this is the death blow for Miami. Cause once I get on board, that's when I lose. But, 4.5 is going to be a sharp number. I'm looking at the power ratings. They all have it 4.5. I'm just going to go with the team that I think is better. I think Miami's better on the lines. I think that I would take Carson Beck over Tommy Castellanos. I think that the skill position players, that even though I'm obsessed with Deuce Robinson, I would probably take Miami's skill. Miami has the best defensive. The sum of Miami's parts is just better than Florida State. So I'm done playing this spot game, and this is the ultimate spot game. They're going on the road to a very hostile environment in a rivalry game. This is the epitome of spot. I'm not playing I think anymore. I'm playing the teams.
The way Florida State wins this game is they make Carson Beck make mistakes. They capitalize on some turnovers like that. That's how they win. I don't see a way they win it straight up, which is interesting because they certainly beat Alabama straight up earlier this season. But I think I'm with you. And unlike you, I have been picking Miami this whole time because I do love the way they're constructed on the line of scrimmage. And the
difference
just feel
between our records is literally just Miami.
It is. You're right. Yep. And because I started out taking Miami money line against Notre Dame. And then I took Miami to cover against Florida. And I took Miami to cover against USF. So, not in that order. But yeah, I love the way that Miami is built on the line of scrimmage. I think Ruben Bain might be the best player in college football this year so far. I know there's a lot of quarterbacks that are probably going to be above him in the Heisman conversation, but Ruben Bain has been absolutely disruptive. And the Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor combo, like at the end of the Florida game, there's a play where Florida still got kind of a chance. I think it was 19-7 at that point. And I was like, Miami hadn't gotten home for a sack in a minute. It's a third down. And that second, Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor combine on a sack. And you can block, like the replay from behind the quarterback. It's just like, oh my God, how do these people get blocked ever? So
I will say that I am relieved that the spread isn't 22.5 and that we are going to maybe get a vintage game. Like, I want that game to be awesome. I want it to feel like it did when we were kids.
I think it will. I think it still will. I think they're going to hit really hard. And the thing is, like, even Miami, Florida, that game was very much in doubt in the late third, early fourth quarter. I think Florida State is going to put up a good fight here. I don't think they're going to lay down for Miami. I think Miami just eventually overwhelms you because you have to block that defensive line and you have to have that offensive line leaning on you over and over and over again. And I think that's where most teams are going to fail against Miami, is the cumulative effect of all those blows that you're taking. By the fourth quarter, you just can't hold up. And you saw that with Florida. Like, Florida's defense was playing well, but in the fourth quarter, Miami's offensive line is just mashing them down the field. And that's what I think they're going to be able to do to Florida State. And then it's interesting the way their schedule breaks out, because they had the open date before this game. They have another open date after this game. And then it's the stretch run in the ACC for them. Mm-hmm. I think they get through this, and they're just going to, if they beat Florida State here, they're going to sail through the rest of the ACC.
Yeah. It's the U, man.
It is indeed all about the U. I will take Miami to cover again because I'm beating Ari in the picks because of the Hurricanes. So I will hopefully that will continue to pay off. Yes, I'm 25, 23-1. Ari is 22, 26-1. And we'll see if the Canes come through for both of us instead of just me. But we'll be at the game. I want Florida State to put up a fight. I want to see a good competitive game. But I still think Miami's got it. And Ari, we had a fun week of shows coming up. Memphis coach Ryan Silverfield joins us on Tuesday's show. Cannot wait to talk college football all week with you. It doesn't have to be the monster games every week. Sometimes it's the ones that have the great storylines, and there's a bunch with great storylines this week. We will delve into them all week. We'll talk to you tomorrow.